Of course, a lot of people live and die on social media.
Oh, yeah.
And that's kind of the highlight question of the week topic for the Bishop's Corner. You're going to hear a question and answer later, but you're going to get a sneak peek right now with Ron Miller and Bishop Daniel Thomas.
Maria from Little Flower says, Dear Bishop, in a recent discussion with a teacher friend of mine, he talked about the adverse effects of social media on teens, isolation, loneliness, even feelings of suicide. What is your perspective on how technology has caused separation and division in personal relationships, especially of the young people you've encountered? Thanks, Maria.
Thank you, Maria. And so happy to have a question from Little Flower Parish. And Maria, I guess my first question would be that my perspective, I think, is probably your perspective. And I guess I would immediately come out of the gate to talk about the fact that relationships have broken down, because I've said this so many times, social media in the end has become antisocial. So by that I mean in former days, people were taught how to be social. And I'm afraid that especially with all the technology, our young people are not being taught, so to speak, to be social. And then tragically, wherever they find, there are these communities where they find other people, and we know people can be bullied online, and then they discover these things. It's horrific. So I think it's important for parents to be able to monitor what their children are seeing, are doing, to be engaged and involved in their lives, not just as, big brother looking over their shoulder, but also being able to be engaged in their lives to answer their questions. I know I had one parent say to me recently, Maria, that now children don't go to their parents to ask the burning questions about life and about sexuality and about the future and about religion. Now they're just going to the internet, and they're sitting in their dark rooms, pressing their phones. That's deeply disturbing. But even more disturbing is the reality that we know as a human, as the most perfect human, perfectly God, perfectly man, Jesus was relational in all things, right? Jesus had a relation and encountered people. He touched people, physically touched people. And his relation, we now call that the sacraments, because this is where we encounter Jesus. How are we encountering people if we're not even able socially to speak with people? And then I have the further fear, Maria, and I'm sorry it wasn't in your question, but now of artificial intelligence and the reality that people are having relationships with these avatars who aren't even real. And there are people who think they're in a relationship, even a love relationship, with some sort of creation of someone, and this is created. It's not even real. So I think it's a real issue, Maria, and I think we have to turn back, if you will, turn back the clock in this sense, limit the usage, I believe, and I know many parents who do this, limit the usage of technology so that the human, truly human, can be instilled. Take the time to do that, and don't miss that it's the encounter with Jesus and the sacraments that is going to help us to encounter others in a deeply human way.
Always on point, right?